Imagine you're peacefully at home on a winter night. Suddenly, you hear a loud rumble in the sky and see massive debris falling from a military aircraft. You don't know it yet, but what fell from the sky that night came seconds away from causing an unimaginable catastrophe. But how could something like this happen? On January 24th, 1961, a B-52 Stratofortress bomber from the United States Air Force took off from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in North Carolina for a routine strategic patrol mission. At least, that's what it seemed. No one could have imagined what the plane carried in its bomb bay. The B-52 was loaded with 2 Mark 39 nuclear bombs, each with a yield of 3.8 megatons. To give you an idea, that's more than 250 times the power of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. These weapons were designed to destroy entire cities. They weren't symbolic threats, they were promises of absolute destruction. It was the height of the Cold War, a time when tension between the United States and the Soviet Union was felt in every corner of the world. Both countries were locked in an unprecedented arms race, and part of that strategy included keeping nuclear-armed planes in the air 24 hours a day, ready to strike in the event of total war. These flights, known as strategic deterrence missions, were common, though not widely known to the public. Aircraft like the B-52 flew for hours with atomic bombs on board, crossing U.S. airspace as a show of force and a means of ensuring immediate retaliation. But that night, something went wrong. Mid-flight, the aircraft's systems detected a massive fuel leak. Something wasn't working right. In just a few minutes, the plane lost a critical amount of fuel from its right wing, destabilizing it. The pilots tried to return to base, but the aircraft became increasingly difficult to control. The wings began to lose lift, the fuselage was vibrating, and altitude was dropping rapidly. Realizing there was no way to land safely, the commander gave the order to evacuate. 5 crew members managed to eject and survive, but tragically, 3 didn't make it. They perished when the bomber broke apart midair and crashed into the ground at high speed. The wreckage of the plane hit a rural area near the city of Goldsboro, North Carolina. The rumble could be heard for miles. Fire lit up the night sky. Residents thought it was just a typical plane crash. But what no one knew, not even the first responders, was that the aircraft was carrying nuclear weapons. And the danger was only beginning. 2 nuclear bombs fell along with the wreckage. Literally, an atomic bomb fell from the sky, and only just avoided exploding. One of them partially activated upon separation from the fuselage. Its parachute deployed properly, as designed to reduce impact. But upon hitting the ground, the bomb began an arming sequence. A series of internal steps initiated, as if the bomb had received a detonation order. That should never happen without a deliberate human trigger. So how close did it come to detonating? Extremely close. Nuclear bombs are designed with multiple safety systems to prevent accidental detonation. But in this case, 5 out of 6 safety mechanisms failed. Only one electrical switch prevented the bomb from fully arming. That switch, a component you could hold in the palm of your hand, was the only thing that stood between life and death for tens of thousands of people. Had that bomb exploded, it would have unleashed a blast radius of over 15 kilometers. The city of Goldsboro would have been obliterated. The impact would have reached parts of Virginia and even southern Washington, D.C. The radioactive fallout would have spread across the eastern United States, contaminating rivers, crops, and entire cities for decades. For many years, the U.S. government avoided revealing the full extent of the incident. It was classified as a minor accident. But in 2013, thanks to declassified official documents, the public found out the truth. One of those documents was written by Parker F. Jones, a physicist working at the Office of Nuclear Weapons Safety. In his report, he wrote a sentence that summed it all up. A simple low-voltage switch, using dynamo technology, was the only thing that stood between the United States and a major catastrophe. But this wasn't an isolated incident. During the Cold War, the Pentagon acknowledged at least 32 incidents in which nuclear weapons were damaged, lost, or nearly detonated by accident. These events are known as broken arrows. One of the most shocking occurred 5 years later, not in the US, but in Spain. On January 17, 1966, another US B-52 bomber was flying over southern Europe as part of the same deterrence operation. Its mission was routine: fly for hours carrying nuclear bombs, then refuel in the air to extend its range. But during an aerial refueling maneuver over the Spanish village of Palomares, something went terribly wrong. The B-52 attempted to link up with a KC-135 tanker aircraft, but a misalignment caused both planes to collide. The explosion was immediate. The B-52 broke apart midair, scattering its nuclear payload across land and sea. 7 crew members lost their lives, while 4 managed to eject and survive. 4 thermonuclear bombs fell in the area. 3 hit the ground near Palomares. One of them, luckily, landed intact, but the other 2 ruptured on impact, releasing radioactive material across farmland, homes, and rural roads. The 4th bomb was even more problematic. It fell into the Mediterranean Sea and vanished. For weeks, the United States deployed hundreds of soldiers, divers, and submarines to locate the lost weapon. The operation was secret at first, but soon became public. Local fishermen, tourists, and international media began talking about it. A U.S. nuclear bomb missing in Spanish waters. Finally, after more than 2 months of searching, the bomb was located over 800 meters deep and recovered with the help of an unmanned submersible. But the damage was already done. The incident attracted global attention, and the Palomares area remained contaminated for decades. To this day, traces of plutonium are still found in the soil, and many people who lived there at the time remember the arrival of U.S. military personnel in protective suits, collecting soil in metal barrels and shipping it back to American territory. These kinds of incidents remind us that the nuclear threat isn't just tied to war. It's also linked to human error, accidents, and oversight. And this leads us to an unavoidable question. How safe are we, really, when it comes to weapons of mass destruction? The cases of Goldsboro and Palomares aren't just historical anecdotes. They're warnings. Proof that even the most sophisticated systems can fail, and that more than once, the fate of millions has rested in the hands of cables, switches, and luck. And you? Do you believe we'll ever get rid of these weapons entirely? Or are we doomed to live under the shadow of total destruction? If you'd like me to cover another nuclear incident or a new broken arrow, let me know in the comments.